Texas, 2013. A teenager kills 4 people while driving drunk. He receives 0 jail time. His lawyers argued he was too rich to know better. A poor boy steals a bicycle. He gets 2 years. Does justice actually exist, or is it just a story? On a summer night in Burleson, Texas, Ethan Couch, age 16, sped down the road with a blood alcohol level 3 times the legal limit. His pickup slammed into a group helping a stranded driver. 4 people died. 9 more were injured. Couch pleaded guilty to intoxication, manslaughter, and assault. The law allowed for up to 20 years in prison. Instead, Judge Gene Boyd handed down probation. The sentence was 10 years, no jail, and a stay at a private rehab center costing nearly $500,000 a year, paid by his family. The defense called it affluenza, claiming wealth and privilege had left him unable to know right from wrong. The American Psychiatric Association never recognized the term, but the word stuck. It became a symbol of something broken, the idea that justice can be bent by the weight of a wallet. The courtroom decision left a question echoing far beyond Texas. How can the same law feel so different in the hands of privilege? A poor teenager caught stealing a bicycle enters a different world than Ethan Couch ever faced. The value of the bike is small, but the consequences are not. Across the United States, low-income juveniles accused of minor property crimes, like bicycle theft, are far more likely to be tried as adults and sentenced to time behind bars. The Sentencing Project and the Prison Policy Initiative report that from 2010 to 2020, youth from poor backgrounds were routinely pushed out of juvenile court and into adult facilities for offenses that, in wealthier communities, rarely led to jail. The difference is not just in the crime, but in the class line the defendant crosses. For some, a stolen bike becomes a ticket to adult court and a permanent record. For others, even deadly recklessness can be softened by access to resources and legal teams. If justice is supposed to be blind, why does it keep recognizing status? In 1971, philosopher John Rawls published A Theory of Justice and posed a challenge. Design the rules of society without knowing anything about your own place in it. Imagine a veil that hides your wealth, your status, your talents, even your gender or background. Behind this veil of ignorance, you could end up rich or poor, powerful or powerless, healthy or disabled. Rawls argued that, in this original position, rational people would demand equal basic liberties for everyone, such as freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, and due process, because no one would risk being born without them. Inequality, he said, is only just if it improves life for those at the bottom. This turns justice into a practical test. If you wouldn't accept the rules from any possible position, they aren't fair. Rawls's veil strips away excuses and asks, would you call it justice if it was your fate on the line? 3 years after Rawls, Robert Nozick published Anarchy, State and Utopia in 1974 and turned the argument upside down. Nozick insisted that justice is not about equal outcomes or engineered fairness, but about how people come to own what they have. If property is gained through just acquisition and voluntary exchange, the state has no right to take it away, even for the sake of the poor. Taxation for redistribution, in his view, is a violation of self-ownership, not a remedy for unfairness. The only legitimate role for government is to protect individual rights against force or fraud. This puts freedom and fairness on a collision course. Can society pursue equality without crossing the line into coercion? Nozick's challenge is blunt. Every attempt to fix the scales risks breaking them. The Quran commands believers to stand firm for justice, even when it means testifying against themselves, their parents, or their closest kin. Surah An-Nisa, verse 135, leaves no room for exceptions. Whether rich or poor, everyone is bound by the same standard. In Islamic thought, Adl means fairness and balance, and Ihsan goes further, urging moral excellence beyond what the law demands. Yet the world's reality stands in stark contrast. In 2018, Oxfam reported that just 26 people held as much wealth as the poorest 3.8 billion. Justice as mere equal treatment can still leave people trapped by the circumstances of their birth. Equality hands everyone the same measure. Equity asks what each person truly needs to stand upright. The difference is not just a theory, it is the gap between the world as it is and the world as it ought to be. Amartya Sen steps away from theories about rules or entitlements and asks a simpler, harder question: what can people actually do with their lives? Justice, in his view, is not measured by the resources you own or the rights you are promised, but by the real freedoms you have to choose and to act. A person handed a textbook but denied the chance to read is not educated. A worker given legal equality but blocked from opportunity by illness or discrimination is not free. Sen's capability approach now shapes how the world measures progress, from the Human Development Index to local health and education programs. Justice becomes not a slogan or a promise, but the lived reality of what each person can achieve. This is the standard by which systems, past and present, must be judged. Athens once claimed every citizen had a voice, yet ostracism allowed the majority to exile anyone seen as a threat. No trial, just a name scratched on pottery and 10 years in the wilderness. Socrates, the city's sharpest mind, was sentenced to death by his peers, not for a crime, but for challenging the mood of the moment. Across the Atlantic, America declared all men equal while holding millions in chains and locking out the poor from its promises. The French Revolution thundered about rights and liberty, yet kept power in the hands of property owners and shut women out of its new order. These are not ancient failures, they are warnings. Would you accept any system as just if you had no idea where you'd be born within it? Justice without equality is privilege. Equality without justice is performance. The real test is whether we dare to demand better. Justice without equality is privilege. Equality without justice is performance. Do we have the courage to demand better? The answer shapes every verdict, public and private, right now. What do you think?